Hey, welcome to Chris GRS. My name is Chris, and in this video, we're going to be discussing all things gout. Well, not all things gout, but just my amazing story and how I've been dealing with it. So before I get into things, I just want to say that I'm not a doctor or a medical professional in any way, even though I might look like one, and I don't even pretend to be one on Instagram. So this is just my story and just a few things that I've been doing that seem to have been helping me, but you should always consult a real doctor before a real doctor for any advice and not just some random guy on the internet. So I'll be starting with the story time and then moving on to 5 things that I've been doing to help me minimize a flare-up. If you want to skip right to that part, then check the description below and I'll leave a timestamp there so you can skip to that part. The reason why I'm sharing this story is when I first found out that I had gout, I went to the internet and I looked up some information and I found a lot of what it is and what I should and what I shouldn't do, and which is totally fine because that's what I was looking for. But what I didn't find is any kind of real life examples. So I thought, hey, why don't I just do my own and maybe I can find some people out here who can relate. So if you don't know what gout is, well, just a very basic explanation. It is a form of arthritis that affects your joints. It can affect your fingers, your wrists, your elbows, your knee. In my case, and a lot of people's cases, it affected my big toe, which was like super painful. It's really painful. It's really hard to describe what it feels like. I've never been bitten by a snake before, but I assume that's what it would feel like. It was just really hot, like on fire. So if you've ever been bitten by a snake and you have gout, well, you're really unlucky. But let me know in the comments if which is worse. So my story started about end of 2018, around Christmas time, and that's when I started feeling like some kind of movement in my finger, in my toes actually, in my big toe. I started feeling some kind of tingling, but I would just kind of put it off. It wasn't very painful. It just felt like something might have hit it, and I think it's because I drank beer, but that's most likely what it was. Didn't really think much about it. Then New Year's, it happened again. So just a few days later, maybe a week after. So I started feeling a little bit painful, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably maybe a 5. So it was, I just kind of ignored it. In January of 2019, so just a few weeks, maybe like 2 weeks later, my son was born. So from then, I really didn't drink much. So I didn't have any kind of flare ups from then on. So from January up until August 2019, that's when I started feeling it again because it was Caravana. If you don't know what Caravana is, it's just a Toronto Carnival, so you can look it up if you want to. But I was in the parade and I partied a little too hard, I think. So that's the next day or so I felt it. But because I was doing a lot of walking, I kind of thought maybe it was because I was walking a lot. So, anyways, I kind of ignored it again and it went away. Then a month later, in September, I had a wedding to go to in Montreal. Now, from August, like the first weekend of August to the first weekend of September, I gained probably about 10 pounds. That was because I just binged eat. I just binged because that's what you do after Caravana, you just binge, right? The wedding was on Saturday. On Friday night, I had gone to a Korean bar, and there I drank beer and I ate stuff like beef, and I had like intestines. When I say intestines, I mean like heart and liver because it's so good. Yeah, and then that's just like recipe for like getting gout, gaining weight, plus eating that. And then on the wedding, open bar, obviously, didn't have too much, but I had beer there and I was eating a lot of meat. So those 2 days combined, like put my levels like high. The Sunday, I was feeling pain, but I was still managed to walk. But the Monday, when I was supposed to be coming back from Montreal to Toronto, which is about a 5-hour drive, yeah, it was really painful. Now, I could have had my wife drive, but I wanted to get it over with as soon as possible. So I got home, I put my ice on my foot, and yeah, that's when I realized I had gout. But it wasn't that bad. Pound level from 1 to 6 was probably about a 7, but I knew something was wrong. I put ice and it was fine. I went to bed. Around 3 a.m. in the morning, that's when I felt the snake bite. I woke up and I was like, my foot was like swollen and it was red and it was hot, and I was like, yo, something happened. I actually checked the bed to see if there was a snake because it was actually that painful. So I got ice and I put ice on it again. There was no snake, by the way. I put ice on it again, and it kind of helped it. So that day I just kind of like put ice on it all day. I was working, but I was working from home, so that was fine. But I called my doctor and I said, "Hey, I just need an appointment." So they gave me an appointment. After work, I went. Actually, I think I left work early because I couldn't take it anymore. And I remember putting on my shoe, putting on a sock first was like hard. So that putting on a shoe without any laces or like just really loosely on, and I was able to make it to the car, but I was struggling and I had to like take my shoe off. But it's a good thing that I did have a cane. So if you think you have gout, you should invest in a cane. This is my cane right here. It's actually pretty cool. It's a shark head with a marble in the mouth. So even if I didn't have gout, I could probably still use anyways. So yeah, so I went to the doctor. I remember it was raining outside and I couldn't wear the shoe, so I just threw my shoe off in the car and I went barefoot with the cane though into the doctor's office, and I couldn't even sit up. I had to like lie down because it was so painful. And he looked at it and he just said, "Yeah, you have gout." And that's when I was confirmed. So he gave me medication and he told me, go home, look up online what you shouldn't be eating and stay away from it. So when I came home from the doctor, the first thing I did obviously was I went on Google and I looked up celebrities with gout. And the ones I came up with were people like Benjamin Franklin, King Henry VIII, Da Vinci, Alexander the Great, Beethoven. So I knew it was in pretty good company, as well as there was a few pirates, so even better. I then looked up what foods I shouldn't be eating and what I shouldn't be doing. So they said I shouldn't be having any red meat or alcohol, specifically beer. It didn't really say alcohol, I just said beer because it's something high in purines, which can cause like a flare up, and also shellfish like lobster and shrimp, which things I like. So I took some pills, whatever he gave me, and after a few days it went away. But I made sure I stayed away from some stuff. So I tried to stick to this as much as possible, but anytime I did have a slip up, then yeah, it would have caused a little flare up. So I would take the pills and it would be fine. So I was going to be in California at the end of October, and so I went back to my doctor and I asked him if I could have the meds, and he said, okay, that's fine, but if it continues, then I would have to go on something more permanent, which is something I didn't really want. So I decided, okay, when I'm come back from California, I'll take it a little bit more seriously. So I went to California. While I was there, I did have a few things I shouldn't have been having. Like I did go to Korean barbecue and a Japanese barbecue. So those both were a lot of beef. And I went to a regular buffet and they had lobster and seafood, like lobster and shrimp on, like just seafood, shellfish. So I ate a lot of that, and that's, yeah, caused flare-ups each time, but it wasn't horrible. As soon as I felt something, I would take the medication and it would be better. So when I got back from California, I decided I'll take it a little bit more seriously because I didn't want to be on medication if I didn't have to. So in 2019, November 2019, I started doing these things that I'm going to tell you what I've been doing. Now, these tips I would say mainly are for someone who is new to the game of gout, just because if you've already had it for a long time and you're taking medication, then I don't think it's going to change much. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So if you did these things, then I'm sure it might help. But again, discuss with your doctor if this would even be helpful to you. They seem to be helping me, and I've been doing it. It's 5 things. One of them I haven't really been doing too much, but I'll get to that one. So one thing I've been doing is I've been drinking apple cider vinegar daily. So I've got a bottle of apple cider vinegar here. I feel like Carrot Top with my props. But this is apple cider vinegar. It's with the mother, it says it there. This brand is just Bragg's. Any brand is fine. I switch whatever I have. This is a small bottle. I suggest if you've never had it before, then get a small bottle like this. This is 473 milliliters. Could be a little expensive sometimes. I don't know how much this one was for, but I think it's less than $10. It's really bad. Doesn't taste good at all. Oh, yeah. But I think this does help a little bit. It said that apple cider vinegar can help balance the balance the acid levels in your blood. So I assume this is good. I've seen some research as well online that apple cider vinegar can be good. So it's not something I made up. But like I said, if you've never had it before, see if you can get a sample because it's not very good. It takes some time to get used to. I just take 2 tablespoons and put it in a glass of water. Make sure you drink it with water. Don't drink it straight. It's not good for your teeth or your esophagus. Also, I don't drink it every day. I might drink it maybe drink it 4 days in a row, maybe take 2 days off, or I might do every other day. I wouldn't drink it every day. Yeah, so that's the first thing that I do. Also, I do drink this in the mornings. You can drink it any time of day, but for me, it works out in the mornings. That's a whole other video. So the second thing that I've been doing is taking vitamin C. Now, it's just a chewable tablet, 500 milligrams. It's supposed to help with lowering uric acid levels in your blood. So there's not a lot of research on it, but that could help as well. Even if it doesn't help with gout, it's still good for you. So you can also eat fruits, I guess, that are high in vitamin C. That's the same thing. So I do that as well, but I've been taking the tablets just to help. Third thing that I've been doing is drinking a lot of water. I do drink a lot of water already. This right here is my water bottle that I go around everywhere with. Well, this is one of them. I have a few. This one is only 1.25 liters. So it's one of my smaller bottles, but I always have it with me by my side, at least a water bottle. Never leave anywhere without it. If I don't have water with me, then I don't know what I would do. I would just go buy water, I guess, but this is what I drink a lot of water, so that's obviously something that's good for you anyways, even if you didn't have gout. The fourth thing, which wasn't that hard, but was cutting beer. Now that was probably one. Now I thought at first it sounds like it's something that's hard, but it really hasn't been. Beer is something that I normally would have drank, just hanging out with friends or going out to a restaurant or something like that. But with everything that's been going on lately, I really haven't been doing much of that. So I guess it's been easier for me to do it in the last year at least. But I found alternatives for things that at least have been working for me. Now I'm not suggesting if you have gout, then you can start drinking this because I don't know. It just seems that anytime I do drink these things, that nothing happens. I've been drinking cider, so really low alcohol content, so maybe 5% or less. Just ciders, I've been drinking those, as well as soju. It's a little bit higher alcohol content, but it seems that it hasn't done anything. If you don't know what soju is, it's a Korean drink. It's in a green bottle usually, but you wouldn't really sit there and drink it like a beer though, so it can last you a while. I've heard that clear alcohols are okay, but I heard that from non-medical people. Those are just people who are experimenting as well, who have gout. Staying away from beer though, that sounds pretty hard, but it's been okay. So just drinking cider, I've felt fine with it and no issues. And the last thing that I haven't been doing so much lately, but I was doing previously and I seem to help, was daily exercise and cutting weight. So that was one thing the doctor told me I should have been doing because I did gain a little bit of weight at the time when I had my major flare-ups. So I did cut some weight from that time to now, but things happen and you start slacking because I haven't had a flare-up lately. I've been taking it a little bit too easy, so I need to get back into that, but that's just a whole other topic. I think that did help. And even just by walking, that's something I do if I don't feel like really working out because it's still a good exercise. So those are just some things that I've been doing, and it seems to be helping. I haven't had a flare-up since November 2019. It's now February 2021. If I do have one in the future, maybe I'll post a follow-up or something, but hopefully I don't have to. Like I said, I'm always going to keep saying this. Consult your doctor before you do any of those. I'm sure if you ask your doctor if you can do those, I don't see why they would object to any of them. But if they did, then they're professional. I'm not. Alright, so I'm just going to end things there. Hopefully you enjoyed my story of my adventures with gout. Let me know if you have gout and what you've been doing to deal with it. You know what to do. Everything should be down below. Like, dislike, leave a comment, click notifications if that's something you're into, or just subscribe. And until next time, talk to you guys later. Have fun.